So about 2 years ago, I bought my Heritage Guitars H-150. On a bit of a whim really. I was looking for a 2-humbucker guitar, but a single cut wasn't really on my radar. This came up as a bit of a steal, so I jumped on it. I ordered it online, it arrived, and the rest is history. I made a video around that time going over my thoughts, my impressions on the guitar initially, but I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up now the dust has well and truly settled, going over my thoughts on Heritage as a brand and as a whole, any queries and generally, my experience with ordering guitars online, and also should you buy one over a Gibson in 2024. But first, please subscribe to the channel. It really actually helps me out, and I've got big things planned for 2024, so I think you'd be wise to. So a quick reminder what this model is. This is a Heritage Guitars H-150 from their standard range, but it's a little more interesting than that. It has been aged by their custom shop. Along with the aging, we also have upgraded pickups. They usually come with, I think, Seymour Duncan 59s. These are Seymour Duncan Antiquity pickups. I believe this whole thing was part of a European limited run. More importantly though, this guitar has signified a significant change in not only my playing but also my preference in guitars as a whole. Growing up, I've pretty much always played single coil guitars. In the early days it was all about Telecasters, and then slightly later on I was playing a lot of Strat type guitars. I just thought that was me. I thought single coils were my vibe. I liked what they gave me in a band mix, but I think the truth is that I just never found the right dual humbucker guitar for me. The Heritage changed that, and I think these days I do actually lean a little bit more towards the humbucker world than the single coil world. And of course, there are humbuckers and there are humbuckers. I'm sort of more talking about low output, vintage style PAFs type humbuckers. That's my bag. Maybe not necessarily the ultra high output gain monsters. And these Antiquity pickups are really, really excellent. They're kind of maybe Seymour Duncan's top end of humbuckers, I think. Alnico 2 pickups in here. The neck is sweet and mellow, but the bridge has a great attack and a nice airiness up top, but still has that kind of soft quack middly sound that I really love about PAFs. If you watched my original video on this guitar 2 years ago, you'll know that the sound that I wanted from this guitar was that middle position, funky, quacky, and this guitar has it in spades. I know it's kind of cliche, but it does kind of just sound like a beefed up Telecaster, and I think that's probably why I've become so fond of it. aging is also really nice on this guitar. From a distance, maybe you can't tell, it just looks nice and dulled, but up close you can really see the intricate checking on the top and the back of the neck. And the hardware is also really, well, the metal hardware at least, is also really nicely aged and like acid rusted. I don't know what the process is called to go along with that. Interestingly enough though, Heritage don't seem to age their plastics. All the knobs and the kind of cream plastic is as it would be new, which is a little weird, but just one of those things. Something weird did actually happen with this guitar, I think last year when I was restringing it and cleaning it. I think the cloth that I was using might have had a little bit of grit on it, and I've completely scratched up this kind of bottom binding on the neck here. I was absolutely gutted because it felt kind of horrible. It felt really bad. It really scratched up quite badly. Yeah, I was absolutely gutted. Normally I'm not so protective about dings and stuff on my guitar, but this felt different because it completely changed the feel of the neck. Luckily I kind of stuck with it, and over the last year it has smoothened out a bit. Safe to say, lesson learned, and I'm a bit more careful when I'm cleaning my guitars now. Video on this guitar, but basically I believe this guitar was returned to Anderton's. Either that or it was ordered and the customer never paid up and it was just sat in the warehouse. But that kind of basically meant that I got a great deal on this guitar. When I opened up the case, there was even a shipping label to Sweden in it, I think. So yeah, this as a European limited run, they retailed for about £3,000, I think, which is the most expensive guitar I have. It's crazy, but because of the whole thing with either the return or whatever, I got it for about £1,800, which seemed like a crazy deal to me at the time, and it still does, and it was kind of felt like a deal I couldn't miss. Bearing in mind that that £1,800 is less than a bog standard H-150 from Heritage, and also less than any Gibson. Obviously, when ordering online, there's a certain amount of risk that you're not going to get on with the guitar, and I was totally kind of open to that when I ordered it, as demonstrated by the Swedish guy. Anderton's especially have a really good returns policy, so worst case scenario, I didn't like it, I could send it back. I instantly connected with this guitar, and weirdly enough, I actually feel the coolest when I'm playing this guitar as well. That's more important than we probably want to admit, but it's true. I also probably get the most compliments when I'm playing this guitar, and again, that makes me feel good about myself. I also don't think anyone has ever had a bad word to say about Heritage, which is more than I could say about Gibson as well. I guess we should probably address the Gibson thing. 2 years ago when I bought this, I was completely against buying a Gibson, even though I was essentially looking for a Gibson type guitar. And it wasn't necessarily because of the guitars, it was more because of their business practices. To be honest, I have kind of softened up a little bit to that now. I don't really know why. I guess time just moves on, and you know, Gibson do look like they're on a little bit of an up at the moment. If I was in the market for a guitar like this again, I would definitely go and try a few Gibsons, just to see where they're at. And you know, if I ended up buying one, if a Gibson ended up being the best guitar of the bunch, then I would probably buy the Gibson. I don't see that happening because all of the Heritage that I've played have been superb. When I bought this guitar, this was the only Heritage I'd ever played, but since then I've played 10 or even 15 more of them. All of them have been great guitars. All of them have been good guitars. Some of them have been excellent, but all of them have kind of this base level of greatness that I don't think Gibson can compete with. They're also consistent in a different way to brands like PRS, which I see as kind of clinically consistent. You know, you kind of always going to pick up a PRS and it's going to feel relatively similar. I didn't feel that with all the Heritage that I've played. They've all been great, but they've also had their own distinct character and all been quite different, actually. You can go check out my Dawson's video where I played quite a few Heritage back to back. No matter what their price range is, you know, if I'm playing a custom shop against a standard model, there's kind of similarities and differences there, but then also comparing two like-for-like models. It allows the player to find their guitar that suits their style, but also brings out the best in them as well. I brought this guitar along to a shoot with Chris Buck and Thorpe Effects a couple of weeks ago. Chris Buck played this and he sounded exactly like Chris Buck always does, just awesome.